Alright, hello and welcome. So as you know from the title of this video, we are not diving into a look, but we are diving into a question. Now this question actually came from a follower of mine, but this actually touches on questions or relates to questions that I've gotten my whole journey here on social media doing airbrush makeup. So I was super happy and excited that one of my followers, her name is Ina Brooks. Hello Ina, I can't wait for you to go ahead and see this, and I hope it's so helpful for you. And I'm so happy you are really deep diving into airbrush makeup. So I couldn't be more happier. I couldn't be more excited for you. And let's just go ahead and get into answering your question. So she expressed to me in a comment on my last video that she was getting ready to go ahead and dive into airbrush eyeshadows, but she wasn't quite sure where to start as far as choosing colors and like basic color combinations to go ahead and get her started so that she can get into practicing and diving in. So she asked if I had any suggestions, and I absolutely do. So Dinair has a lot of colors, and I feel like I have a lot of experience with the Dinair colors, with the Dinair lines, and having used all of these shades so much over the years, I kind of know which ones are my ride or die shades, ones that I absolutely need to have in my collection, because these are the shades that I'm constantly getting replaced as soon as I run out. These are the shades that I'm running out of quite frequently and quite often. So without rambling on anymore, let's just go ahead and dive right into those shades. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the shades, and then I'm also going to go ahead and show you a swatch in the standard IHeartAirbrush fashion. We're going to go ahead and give you a nice arm swatch with a block of white, so you can go ahead and see the true shade of the color as well as the shade against my skin tone. So let's just go ahead and dive into that, shall we? So my selections have been broken up by line that Dinair offers. So I'm going to start off with the Glamour line. That's their natural line. This is the matte finish. And the first shade I feel like is really good to have in your collection because it's a nice light shade is Latte. Now this shade has more of a neutral-like undertone, and you can use it on its own to go ahead and add a nice base or even brighten up the tear duct area, or you can mix it into any of the other shades to go ahead and lighten it up. So it's a very versatile shade to have, and I definitely need this one in my collection. I also am going to go ahead and show you Jet Black as well. Not only can you use this shade for a liner, but you can also use it to deepen up any other shade as well. So these two shades are very versatile, and they're shades that I always have in my collections. Now the next few shades, these are more of like the browns or the neutral tones, very common that you can see that are really easy to put together eye looks with, or at least start off the basis, the transition, the deepening of the outer V, sometimes even a pop of color on the outer corner of the lid using. So let's go ahead and dive into some of those. So the first shade I have here is Soft Brown. Okay, the next shade I have is Sepia. Now you've seen me use this quite a bit in a lot of my tutorials. This is a great shade for contouring, but you can also use it in the transition crease area as well. Then I have Light Smoke. This is one that I have a larger bottle of because, like I said, I go through a lot of the shade. I actually have used it for contouring, but for eyeshadow, I've used this more commonly in the transition area and on the lower lash line as well. This just adds a beautiful amount of subtle depth, just a little bit of contrast, and I definitely use this one a lot. So I definitely recommend this one. The next one I recommend is Medium Brown. Medium Brown is a shade that I constantly use either to have a full wash on the lid or just in the transition crease area. This makes a great shade for the lower lash line as well, so I like to have this one around. And then I have Dark Brown. Dark Brown is great for deepening the outer corner, outer V. It's also really good for applying liner or just that depth and dimension on the lash line. This works excellent for the lower lash line as well. So this is very versatile for me, and I cannot live without Dark Brown. I've gone through so many bottles of this shade. It's just one of those shades that I absolutely need to have in my collection. And then the last three for the mattes or the Glamour line is we have the Kohler matte line. find the shade Salmon here. I absolutely love this shade. It works wonderful for the transition, works great for a wash of color over the lid, and I also use this as a blush shade, so it's a very, very versatile shade to have, and it makes such a beautiful pop of color. It's just a beautiful hue to add to the lid. Next, I have Bronze Rose. This shade is so pretty. I absolutely love Bronze Rose. I think I've replaced this, I don't even know how many times. I lost count because every single time I run out of this one, I do replace it. I always have a spare of it because I cannot live without this shade. Not only do I also use this shade for a blush, but I do use it in the transition crease area and for a wash over the lid and for a pop of color on the outer corner of the eye. So this is definitely one that's really easy to work with. It is super versatile and it works for a multitude of skin tones. So I absolutely love Bronze Rose. And then lastly, we have Marsala. This makes a really, really good shade if you're looking for more of like a barrier tone or a ready tone to go ahead and pair with any pop of color on the lid. This is a really good one to have. I use Marsala and dark brown interchangeably with each other, so I use Marsala a lot to add depth and dimension to the outer corner, outer V area. I've even used it, I used it in my bronze look that I did in my last video as a pop of color on the outer corner of the lid just to amplify my bronze look a little bit more. I've even used this on the outer corner of the lower lash line. It's just a really, really beautiful hue, a beautiful tone, has a nice amount of depth to it, and if you want it to be even deeper, you just shoot it with a little bit of jet black and you're good to go. This is a really, really beautiful, versatile shade, and it's super easy to work with, super easy to blend. This is definitely a keeper in my collection. Alright, so now that we've covered the glamour line and the mattes, let's go ahead and dive into the shimmers. Now, I recommend, there are 4 shimmers that I recommend keeping around in your collection. Dinair has a multitude of shades, so I only pick the ones that are key essential to my collection, meaning that I use them, I reach for them frequently, and anytime I run out of them, I replace them right away. And that is the shades Pink Blossom. This one is beautiful. It's beautiful on its own, and it's also beautiful to add on top as a topper. It just adds this beautiful punch of shimmer that just sparkles. Not only have I used this on my lids, but I also use it to kind of add a little bit of glitz to the hair as well. So this is a versatile shade to have. The hue is right. It's very beautiful, very sparkly, pretty. I absolutely love this one. This was actually one of the first shades that I ever purchased when I got a kit. So I've literally been purchasing it ever since. I think the first time I got a kit was back in like 2012. So I've literally been repurchasing the shade since 2012. Absolutely love it. This is definitely a keeper for me. Then we have Light Bronze. Light Bronze is one of those shades that came in my kit that I just kind of fell in love with. I know they recommend using it for bronzer, but I actually found more use using it for shadow rather than on the face. I do occasionally use it for the face sometimes, but most of the time I am using this for shadow. It's just a beautiful bronzy tone. It's a beautiful pop of color for the lid. It just has the right amount of shine, the right amount of shimmer. I definitely recommend this one to go ahead and have if you're doing any kind of bronzy eye looks. If you want to see this one in action, definitely go ahead and check out my last video. I'll put a card here for you to go ahead and check that video out, but it does feature this shade and the shade Marsala in dark brown and Light Smoke. So you'll go ahead and see all of those shades actually utilized in a one eye look. This was the star of that look, so definitely recommend Light Bronze. Now there are 2 more and I don't have them anymore because I literally just ran out. So I have to get those shades replaced, but I do have little swatch cards from it from previous videos because I used to insert little swatches of the shades in the corners of my videos. I since stopped doing that. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. But I don't have that shade to go ahead and swatch for you, but I do have that little swatch card, so I will go ahead and show you that. The first shade is Rose Gold. I absolutely love Rose Gold. It's definitely one of those shades that is very versatile. You can use it on the lids or you can use it as a highlighter. It adds a beautiful pop and a beautiful touch of shimmer. It definitely adds some dimension when the light hits your eyes because it does have some shimmer reflex in it, but it's not so much that it's going to be too glittery or too glitzy. It's definitely less shimmery than Pink Blossom, and it packs a little bit more of that metallic punch. So I absolutely love Rose Gold. It's super beautiful, super stunning. It's definitely a staple and I need to get another one. So I definitely do recommend that one in your collection if you're going to start out. And then the other one is Champagne. I feel like everybody needs a champagne shade in your traditional shadow collection, and airbrush makeup is no different. So you definitely need a champagne shade, and Dinair Champagne color is so versatile and so beautiful. It's a lot like Pink Blossom, but it is obviously a champagne hue because it's called champagne. It's absolutely beautiful and stunning, and it works not only for the tear duct, for the lid, for a topper if sprayed light enough, but you can also use it as a highlighter as well. So I definitely recommend having champagne in your collection. So that's about it for the shimmers. I know there's only 4 of them, but like I said, I picked only the key essential ones just to get you started. So let's just go ahead and go on to the next section. So the next section I wanted to go ahead and touch on is the Kohler Opalescence. Now the Opalescence are, I feel like they're a little bit more punchy. They're more so for use on the lid. You can use them in the outer corner, outer V, or in the transition crease area, but I personally get more use using them as pops of color on the lid. I feel like those ones are a little bit more personal to your personal style, as the color and the range varies from light to deep, from blues, greens, purples, pinks. There's so many hues in there. So I do have a video that's a swatch video that shows you all of those shades swatched out, so you can go ahead and see how they spray, see the hue, see all of that good stuff. So I definitely recommend that if you are looking for those opalescents, to go ahead and check out that video, and I will go ahead and put a card for that video here for you if you want to go ahead and check that out after this one. So with that being said, there are shades from the Kohler Opalescent line that I absolutely have to have in my collection, that I constantly get replaced, and those are the Kohler Opalescent highlighters. These shades are a must-have for me, all of them, okay? There's only 4, so yes, it's all of them. My most used ones though, especially for shadow, is Shine On You, and that's just peachy. Those are my 2 most used ones for shadow. On the tear duct, on the lid, brow bone highlight. I use those for highlighters as well on the face. They're just so versatile, these 2 hues. I absolutely love them, and I highly recommend them if you're going to go ahead and start off with eyeshadow, because they're not too, they're more like satiny in the glow and everything, so it just adds a beautiful natural pop, and then you can go ahead and layer it up if you want something a little bit more intense. And of course, the last 2 shades in the Kohler Opalescent highlighter is Gold Rush, which is a beautiful light bronzy hue. Definitely recommend this for shadow. And then you have Summer Fun here, which I like to go ahead and pop on the tear duct when I'm doing more warmer looks. So those are it for the Kohler Opalescent highlighters. So now if you are looking for something a little bit lighter, maybe some of these shades, after seeing them swatched here on me, might be a little bit too dark for your complexion, I do have 2 lighter shades that will work really, really well in the transition crease area if you are a little bit fairer than myself, or a lot fairer than myself. Me personally, these colors do show up on me, but they're very light, very faint. These are shades that I can only personally use in the transition area. But if you are more fair than myself, you'll probably get a lot more use out of these for adding depth, or even for a wash of color on the lid. And these 2 shades are Sienna, which is here, and Saharan Sunset. You'll definitely get a lot of use out of these shades, like I said, either with the transition crease area or a good wash over the lid. So these 2 I definitely recommend if you are a fair complexion. So with that being said, that covers all of the shades that I think are really, really vital to have in your collection. Of course, I love having all of the other shades. Dinair offers so many shades, and they're all so beautiful. There's so many different textures, so many different tones, and at times it can be overwhelming, but once you start collecting some of them and you start getting a feel for it, I mean, you feel like you just want to collect more and more and more. So I feel like I gave you guys a good starting point with the shades that I picked out here. If you have any more questions or if you want to know color combinations, I do have a plethora of videos here on my channel. All you have to do if you want to go ahead and search a specific color is just type in the color on the search bar on my channel homepage, and that should pop you up to videos that I've used that shade in. So I definitely recommend going ahead and going through some of my past videos if it gets overwhelming, because there's like a lot of them. I've been here on YouTube for a really long time, but if it gets overwhelming for you just going through them, I definitely recommend utilizing the search bar on my channel homepage, because that'll kind of narrow down, you know, specific things that you are looking for within my content. And of course, you're always welcome to ask questions if you like. Just go ahead and leave me a comment, or if you have a question and you want it to be a little bit more anonymous, you're welcome to go ahead and DM me on Instagram. The tag is IHeartAirbrush, and I can answer your question there, or we can answer your question in a video, whatever you prefer. So that about wraps it out for this video. I want to thank you so much for taking a little bit of time out of your day. I want to give a special thank you to Ina. Thank you for not only recommending this video, but also watching my videos and interacting with my content. Like I said in the beginning of this video, I really appreciate it so much. It means the world to me, and every single follower that I have here really means a lot to me, and I want to do my best to help every single one of you guys dive into the world of airbrush makeup and just kind of fall in love with it the same way that I have. So whatever I got to do to help you guys, that's what I'm going to do, and I'm here for you. So that being said, thank you so much again for watching. Thank you so much for taking a little bit of time out of your day to go ahead and check out this video. And without taking up any more of your time, I'm going to go ahead and stop now and let you guys go. Thanks again, and I hope to see you all in my next one. Bye!